Hello, and in today's video we are doing an FPL review of Game Week 18, Game Week 19, and then previewing the Game Week 20 deadline. That is, of course, coming up on Friday the 13th, so we've got a long time, but I just thought I'd get this one filmed ahead of that deadline, and ultimately it was a very interesting Game Week 18. We did get our first red arrow since before the World Cup break, a bit of a shame. After an amazing Game Week 17 with 98 points with a huge green arrow, that was really big for us. Unfortunately, just missing out on that 100 club, but still a great game week where, for the first time in my FPL career, I had the most returns in a single game week, which was 11. All of my midfield and attack scored. It was unbelievable, Jeff. So, yeah, it was quite the game week to remember. And if you will remember, that game week, we decided after the World Cup to go with a rotation goalkeeper strategy of Ederson and Kepa. And that was a great call because I thought it wasn't worth the money tied up in Cancelo. And ultimately, I'll cover that City defence with Ederson for a lot cheaper. And it was with the thinking that City had a possible double in Game Week 20. And then, of course, Chelsea had that double in Game Week 19. So I thought that way I can get doubles from two goalkeepers and have good goalkeeping options for points. Kepa was a no-brainer just because of how cheap he was. So in Game Week number 17, Manchester City had Leeds away and Chelsea had Bournemouth at home. And it was a very tight one. But I still believe that was the right decision, playing Ederson. It's just, unfortunately, the wrong outcome. You know, how often do we see Bournemouth, just not show any kind of attacking intent and not get any shots away? Hence, I didn't think there'd be many save points for Kepa. I thought there'd be plenty for Leeds. Ellen Road's always loud and, big atmosphere and their attacking team. But yet, Ederson didn't make any save points. And to top it off, concedes late on with that header from Pascal Struijk. Very, very devastating. So I got the kind of wrong goalkeeper that game week, but it was an amazing game week. However, let me talk about Game Week 18 because we made one transfer, 55 points Game Week 18. Very, very bad. It was a bad game week for a lot of people though, so I kind of don't feel that bad about it. It was just one of those ones where not a lot happened for the template picks, and that's just unfortunate. Not many people would have had the team of the week for Game Week 18 with Raya, who is very, very lowly owned. Serge Aurier. You've got Wan-Bissaka, who barely plays. You've got Douglas Luiz, Paulinho, Jordan Ayew. So some very, very odd picks out there. And as a Saka and Odegaard non-owner, it was just a real gut in the guts, basically. When I see that Martinelli game, you think, okay, come on, bring home the points, my friend. He does score against Brighton, but that's the problem with Odegaard. He's just doing even better than Martinelli right now. And I'm like, do I need both of them? Do I need Odegaard instead? It's a tricky one. But yeah, not exactly what we wanted, to say the very least. 55 points, a big fat red arrow. And I don't think I could have done much more. But once again, we stick with Ederson in goal this week. And the logic was, okay, look at the fixtures for both goalkeepers. You've got Kepa. Yes, it's Nottingham Forest, which on paper is a good fixture, but Forest will be up for that at the City ground. And, they did keep a clean sheet against Bournemouth, but I didn't think that, that would continue. And then you saw City against an Everton side that, on their day, City are the best defence in the league. Everton are pretty poor. They probably won't score. So last minute of the game, Damari Gray just decides to put an absolute spellbinder of a strike into the top corner. So that was just really gutting. That, a goal that's not likely to happen, low XG chance, and Ederson could have banked that 6-pointer. But no, Gray had to go spoil it. And then I was like, okay, fine, no clean sheet, whatever. As long as, Kepa doesn't get the clean sheet against Forest. And he was playing after Ederson this time around. So I was watching that Forest game worried, but eventually Forest did score from Serge Aurier, so I was very relieved. That was kind of consolation, if anything, but it was very little to frustrate my take away my frustrations, because ultimately Kepa did get enough save points to then again outscore Ederson. So it's unfortunate, but it'd be much more unfortunate if we'd have gone with Joao Cancelo to cover that City defence, or even Phil Foden. So I believe Ederson going forward is a good pick as well. Like, it was a long-term one, and I'm happy with him. But it's just unfortunate the way it's worked out with when I've played him versus Kepa and all that. So it is a shame. But Demarai Gray did score. In terms of the defence, though, a very, very good game week for my midfield and attack in Game Week 17. Not the best for my attack this week, but it was a bit better for my defence, outside of Gabriel, who we're going to talk about in a second. But let's start off with Trippier. This guy has been an absolute joy to own all season. I just wish I had him from Game Week 1, because since he's come in that Game Week 8 wildcard, he has been an absolute points machine. And once again, gets another clean sheet. I mean, Newcastle's defence has just been absolutely outrageous. But fair play, he doesn't even care. He gets booked and he still gets a bonus point. Luke Shaw, what a transfer in this was. So this was my transfer. I brought in Luke Shaw for Reece James. And I considered my options. I considered Cucurella ahead of their double in Game Week 19. I also thought about someone like Botman, who, would have got 6 points granted for that clean sheet against Leeds. But I'm glad I went with Shaw in the end, because I just felt that after that good performance from Manchester United against Nottingham Forest in Game Week 17, that they would continue that form, and they were facing a Wolves side that just really weren't scoring enough goals. So I thought, surely the clean sheet is banked, and so it did get banked. And just to top it off, Shaw is so attacking that he gets those bonus points. So yeah, massive gains. 9-pointer from Luke Shaw. You love to see that. 3 bonuses. Shawberto Carlos doing the business as my James replacement. Now, let us talk about the elephant in the room, Gabriel, who, I've got to be honest, is a bit of a frustrating one, because I paid the extra money to get him over Ben White. Everyone was saying, look, you need an Arsenal defender. Although their fixtures aren't that good, they've got doubles coming up in possibly 21 and definitely 23, and ultimately they're cheap as chips. You might as well go with Gabriel, who's got the added goal threat, but if you can't stretch that, then go Ben White, who gets a lot of bonus points. And I was like, yeah, I've had Ben White in the past. He served me well last season. I thought, yeah, let's go for Gabriel, because he's a goal threat from set pieces, and he's scored a couple of goals this season. He might chip in with a few goals, if not some clean sheets. So I brought in Gabriel for Game Week 17. What do? They managed to, in the first kind of half, concede against West Ham, a team that weren't scoring many goals. Absolutely gutting. So clean sheet wipeout. Then you've got the next game week, and you've got a game against Brighton where, yeah, okay, it's not the easiest of fixtures, but they're not defensively looking that good this season, Brighton. So surely there's an attacking return there. Nope. And to top it off, they concede 2 late consolations. So that's turned into 0 points when in the same game week, okay, granted, it's not very good, but Ben White even gets more than Gabriel, despite the fact Ben White only plays 59 minutes after getting hooked. So he could have got that clean sheet after, say, 62 minutes, gets hooked before the 60-minute mark. Controversially, of course, a lot of people claiming he was taken off the same minute of Solly March, and that was 60 minutes, or I think it might have been Alana, that was 60 minutes. Whatever, he was given down as 59, so he gets 1 point. But Gabriel plays the full 90, and from a stupid yellow card, from time wasting in the first half, he gets himself a 0-pointer after conceding 2 goals. I mean, it's just so petty. And fortunately, Gabriel is not on 4 yellow cards right now, because then he'd be 1 away from suspension. But he is currently on 3, so that is something to look at, but it's not the end of the world. So, Game Week 17, there's exact same as Ben White, but he's more expensive. 5.3 or 5.2, I do believe, and Ben White's 4.7. Then Game Week 18, he gets 1 less point, even though he plays more minutes than Ben White. Then Game Week 19 comes around. Okay, fine. Forget those kind of rumours that Arsenal's defence is the best and, it's not delivering. They'll deliver this time, right? They've got a great fixture in Game Week 19 against a team who really, okay, I say great fixture. They have a tough fixture, really, with Newcastle. It's a home fixture, but Newcastle might score. Right, fine. What does he do? gets a clean sheet, nice, which we'll get onto, but then no bonus points, no attacking return, whereas Ben White gets his bonus point. Like, what's that about? It's absolutely outrageous. So, yeah, so much for the added goal threat. But anyway, we'll talk about Arsenal because basically, back in Game Week 5, I brought in Saliba to replace Robertson, and I then got 1 point from Saliba in that game at home against Aston Villa versus Robertson 2. Okay, granted, Robertson then did get injured for a bit, but in Game Week 16, Saliba got 0 points, and Robertson got subbed off and got 1. So even when Saliba's playing full minutes, he's getting booked and he's getting goals conceded and he's actually he's getting less points than the players I've sold. So it's really not fun. And then I sold Saliba on that wild card in Game Week 8 for then him to get in Game Week 9 a 15-pointer. I mean, or maybe it was Game Week 8. But the point is, he scored that goal against Brentford and I was like, what's the point then? Leave it out. And then between the period of Game Week 11 to 16, when I didn't own an Arsenal defender, and I had the double up of Saka and Martinelli at one point, Ben White decides to go and get 31 points in that period, 11 to 16. So I've just been absolutely mugged off by these Arsenal defenders. But hopefully, Game Weeks 21 to 23, when Arsenal should hopefully double, will get me some more points, and it will be a bit more fun owning them. But honestly, it's been absolutely a big nightmare, a big nightmare. Right, let's move on to that midfield then from Game Week 18. Mo Salah, you little dancer, not this week. He scored the points big time, the 12-pointer against Aston Villa in 17. But then I was thinking about captaining him. I'm glad I didn't because I mentioned it on the stream. In Game Week 19, he was going to be my captain against Brentford. In the end, I went for the double Game Week player, which we'll get to in Game Week 19. But ahead of this fixture for Liverpool, you know, you thought, okay, surely a home fixture against Leicester, Salah can do the business. No, he blanks. And Darwin gets an assist, but he still misses loads of chances. So Liverpool, a bit dodgy, I can't lie, and a bit disappointing. But I still feel that a freemium structure is the way to go because I can easily switch from Salah to KDB when City double, or when they hopefully double in 20. But they definitely will in 23. So I think I like this move. I think Salah to KDB is nice. But Salah, obviously, right now, he did deliver in 17. He is very up and down, but that's just, I think, the nature of premiums this season. Other than Harry Kane and Erling Haaland, the premiums like Son, like De Bruyne, they've just been very up and down. So it's quite frustrating. Rashford comes again with another goal. I mean, he gets benched, which is a bit disappointing, but he's fine. He comes off the bench and scores. Lovely stuff. Martinelli, 10-pointer. I mean, that's why we own him. Really good against Brighton. And Almiron, for the first time, blanks. And I'm like, really? Home to Leeds? That was a great fixture. But yeah, didn't expect that at all. Midfield, not the best, but also not the worst. But the forward line, now that was a stinker. Martial, you thought, away to Wolves, surely can do something. I mean, Mitrovic was one that I'm gutted I didn't own in Game Week 17 with that lovely 15-pointer. But at the end of the day, we couldn't have expected him to be fit. It was news that he was out, so I took in Martial. And to be fair, Martial did then score in the game against Nottingham Forest, so I can't complain too much. And Kane got 7, so again, I can't complain, but it's just Martial then blanks is kind of disappointing. However, Mitrovic did even get less than that with a missed penalty, so can't complain. Harry Kane, now this was the one that really let me down because home against Aston Villa, Kane is usually always going to score in that fixture. He loves playing the villains, but Spurs was just so poor against Villa. So that was my big differential really letting me down. I say big differential. Martial's a bit more of a diff, but Kane, obviously, a lot of people don't have him. And I was hoping he would punish those people, though. But it didn't happen. And then Erling Haaland. Look, ultimately, I was always going to captain Haaland in that game against Everton. It's just the way that City played is disappointing, but you know, still got the goal, we'll take that. Just a shame he got booked, but ultimately 12-pointer, we can't complain too much. So the bench wise, let me tell you again, Kepa got more than Ederson, and there was also more bench regret this game week because Andreas gets an assist against Southampton. I was so tempted to play him as well. I was so tempted, but I just couldn't fit him. I couldn't justify it with Almiron playing Leeds. So Andreas just loves to score points on the bench. But Bueno Bueno's a player who I really like the look of as a budget option, as an enabler, and ultimately he is playing for a Wolves side that aren't perfect, but he could get minutes, and he's got an assist this season already. Last week he did badly against that pretty poor showing for Wolves. I mean, they conceded against Everton of all teams. But then this week they had a fixture against Man United. You thought, okay, that's definitely one I don't want to start Bueno in. But typically he gets taken off before United score, banks the clean sheet, and he's on my bench. So yeah, a bit of a shame when you look at Gabriel sitting there starting, but it's just what I couldn't have predicted that. And then Patterson 1-pointer. Yeah, not the best. That's why I had him last on the bench, because he had Man City away. And then we move to game week number 19. But in terms of what that did for our rank, as I say, we were on a game week rank of 156,000. We dropped slightly, but there's only a small red arrow to 160,331. So yeah, look, 55 points. It's not the end of the world. It's obviously not ideal with 15 points on your bench. You never like to see that. But yeah, it is what it is. But then we look at game week number 19, and this was one really where we're loving life. Look at this rank. I've never been this high. I feel like I'm this dizzy. I might get a nosebleed. So game week 19, we made the one transfer for the double game week for Chelsea and Fulham, of course. And that was, of course, to bring in a double game week player, Alexander Mitrovic, who we ended up captaining over Mo Salah because Brentford-Liverpool was the first game of the game week. We didn't want to see Salah blank in that one, and then he ends up, ruining my whole game week. But yeah, Mitrovic, it made sense. We'll get to that in a second. Kepa. I mean, what was he doing for that goal from Riyad Mahrez? I mean, he just moved his hands out of the way. But hopefully he can deliver against Fulham, because Mitrovic went and got himself suspended. Yes, he's not going to play the second fixture, so it's double game week with a silent D. But yeah, it's just frustrating, Kepa. Like, at least some save points against Man City, but nope, none of that. Clean sheet wipeout and a 2-pointer. Absolutely stinking. So if I don't want what's just been happening recently to repeat itself, then what I need is Kepa to somehow get himself at least minimum a clean sheet, if not loads of save points against Fulham. I'm not really holding my hopes out too much, and it's just been very frustrating. That's always the way with double goalkeepers when they have rotation. You've always picked the wrong one, but it made sense. It was logical with Kepa's and Edison's doubles. So I still believe it was the right decision. It's not worked out correctly, unfortunately. But look at that for a game week rank. So far, of course, there is that Fulham-Chelsea to come next Thursday at the time of recording. But look, that's a great game week rank. In the week where a lot of people struggled, 43 points is a pretty low average for a double game week. Obviously, still yet to come. But, 224, when there's 10, 11 million players in the game, that is a great game week rank. So hopefully I can end the week strong. But 73 so far. Let's talk about the defence, which was absolutely inspired. We mentioned Gabriel, his frustrations. Yes, Ben White got more, but, hopefully the extra money I paid for Gabriel will come good in the next few weeks. He got the clean sheet, and I didn't expect it, so very, very happy with that. Then Trippier, lovely stuff. Again, he gets another clean sheet and another 2 bonuses. I mean, this guy, he's a cheat code. He's an absolute cheat code. And then a 9-pointer for Shaw last week. I was thinking, home v Bournemouth, that's surely a banked clean sheet. It was indeed, but he only went and got himself a goal and 3 bonuses. My guy, what a player. Luke Shaw, thank you very much. That's his first goal for absolute years. So, yeah, delight of a 15-pointer. That is an FPL nostalgia moment really there. Midfield-wise, very, very good indeed. Only thing that's a bit frustrating is Andreas, because he's got another game, but he only went and got himself subbed off on the 59th minute. So not even getting the appearance points or the clean sheet point for the midfielder. So yeah, bit of a weird one, but hopefully he's fine and fit to start and play the 90 against Chelsea. But Martinelli is the one where, if there's any Arsenal attacker, you think surely Martinelli. But no, Ødegaard and also not Ødegaard, Saka, who obviously punished me against Brighton with a lot more points, unfortunately, against Brighton, and then also against West Ham. Martinelli scored, but Ødegaard got more. So it was just one of those things. But none of the Arsenal attack did anything, so I suppose that's at least a consolation. And Martinelli did outscore Ødegaard this 1 week, but it's by 1 point, so it's really not much of an impact. So yeah, not great, I can't lie. Rashford, 8-pointer. This was exactly what I needed because, you know, Rashford has been superb and I was just hoping for something, but another goal. I mean, great goal from Marcus Rashford after the pass from Fernandes and another 8-pointer. This guy's just been a delight to own. So United really helping out my game week. And then obviously we talked about Salah already. Very poor against Leicester and also poor against Brentford. I mean, Liverpool are in a bit of a dire straits at the minute, so maybe that move to Liverpool to Man City to the double game week for KDB is just at the right time. But looking at my forward line, Mitrovic, Haaland, Kane, that is the great front three that's done well in the past and it continues to do well. Harry Kane, my differential, he's about 27% owned at the time of recording, but look, he will be so highly bought ahead of double game week 20, and this guy has not left my team since game week 8, and it was a masterpiece, a master class by having him this time, because he's just been Mr. Consistent, and he's not often been one to get massive hauls. He's got 10 pointers, maybe an 11 pointer, but often it's like a 7 or an 8 or a steady 9. But this week he went off and some. 16 points against Palace, a team he loves facing, of course, and he scored against Brentford, and I was like, yes, this guy's the one to own. He didn't against Villa, and I was like, come on, Harry, you can do better than that, and he's massively made up for it. So, yeah, really happy. 16-pointer, what an absolute great haul, 2 goals, and that's lovely stuff. And I'm glad that Haaland blanked. I know I own him and I should want him to do well, but so many people captained Haaland despite Mitrovic is having that double game week. So in the end, I was happy that Haaland blanked against Chelsea because Mitrovic outscored him even with the 1 game instead of the 2. Ederson, obviously a bit of a stinker, 8-pointer on my bench. You hate to see it. Almiron, Bueno and Patterson all on the bench, but rightly on the bench. They didn't get any more. I'm hoping Andreas outscores both Almiron and Bueno now. But yeah, that's lovely stuff. And we look ahead to game week number 20, where really we can't be too disheartened with that massive green arrow from 160k to 65. I've never been this high. It's a huge green arrow, but this is how I'm looking for the double. Ederson, Man United and Spurs, good fixtures. Hopefully gets a clean sheet in one of those at least. And then Bueno. Yes, I know Bueno. Kinder Bueno is in. The treat. The chocolate treat. Hopefully it'll be a sweet victory, but West Ham at home, come on, hopefully Wolves keep a clean sheet in that one. I'm just not confident of a Gabriel clean sheet against Spurs. I could be wrong, but with Harry Kane in great form, I think that North London derby is going to have goals. Trippier, I'm going to start him because he is undroppable, as he showed last week. Luke Shaw, he is starting at the moment, but that's only because if United get a double game week in this game week 20, which is rumoured. If he doesn't start, then I guess I could just start with Gabriel. I mean, he's got goal threat, but it's hard to drop Luke Shaw right now with how many points he's delivering. So this defence can look like anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter to me. But right now, this is how it's starting. And hopefully Shaw can get another goal against City like he did in the past at the Etihad. So yeah. Fulham at home is not easy for clean sheets, but hopefully Trippier can get an attacking return. And West Ham are pretty toothless. Almiron hopefully gets back another goal, but I am thinking of possibly selling him soon because I want to get in another Arsenal midfielder soon. So yeah, Fulham at home is a good fixture though, so I'm happy to own him, and then hopefully he'll stop scoring after that. And then Martinelli, it's another North London derby. I'm fine with playing Martinelli. He's going to be up for it. Rashford, home City. I don't even think that's a bad fixture for Rashford. He's scored in the Manchester derby before. And then Salah against Brighton. Look, I think he's got to go. He's got to go realistically because I want that triple up for City, even though the double game week's tricky. And then look at the fixtures for everyone else. So my transfer will be Salah to KDB, locked in. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.